Have you ever wondered why the top 1% seem to keep getting richer no matter what happens in the economy, while everyone else is struggling to keep up? Here's the truth. The wealthy play by a completely different set of money rules. They don't budget like everyone else, they don't save like everyone else, and they definitely don't invest like everyone else. I'm Fahad, and after spending over a decade as a business consultant working with high net worth clients, I've seen firsthand how the rich actually manage and multiply their money. And trust me, it's nothing like the generic financial advice you hear on social media. In today's video, I'm going to share 7 exact strategies that the wealthy consistently use to grow their wealth, protect it, and make sure it keeps working for them long after they stop working. These aren't just theories. They're proven, practical strategies that I've seen my own clients use to build 7 and even 8-figure net worths. Here's the best part. You don't need millions in the bank to start applying these strategies. In fact, the earlier you start, the faster they work. Whether you're just trying to get out of debt, build a safety net, or grow your first $10,000 investment account, these same principles apply. And I want you to stick with me until the end, because strategy number 7 is the ultimate wealth hack that almost nobody talks about, but it's one of the most powerful tools the 1% use to keep compounding their wealth. So grab a notebook, because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to start managing your money like the rich, even if you're just getting started today. 1. Flip the 50, 30, 20 rule, invest first, spend later. Most people follow the old school 50, 30, 20 budgeting rule, 50% for needs, 30% for wants, and 20% for savings. The wealthy? They flip this rule upside down. Instead of saving what's left, the 1% invest first and spend later. They treat investing like a non-negotiable bill that must be paid every single month. Lifestyle comes only after wealth building is secured. Let me give you a real example. I worked with a client earning about $8,000 per month. Instead of letting lifestyle creep take over, she allocated $4,000 straight into investments and wealth building assets before she touched a dollar for expenses. Fast forward 5 years, her portfolio now generates around $2,400 per month in passive income. That's more than most people save in an entire year. This shift in mindset is everything. When you prioritize investing at least 30% to 50% of your income, your money starts compounding aggressively. And no, you don't need to earn 6 figures to start. Even if you're earning $3,000 per month, carving out $1,000 for investments builds a snowball that grows larger every year. Think of it this way. When you pay yourself first through investing, you're buying freedom. Every dollar invested is a soldier working for you, creating income streams that eventually replace your job. On the other hand, if you only invest what's left over, chances are there will never be much left. This is the first major difference between the average person and the wealthy. The average person spends first and saves later. The wealthy invest first and spend later. And that one decision completely changes their long-term wealth trajectory. 2. Automate your wealth. No willpower needed. Here's a secret the wealthy understand. Willpower doesn't build wealth, automation does. Most people rely on discipline to save or invest, but by the end of the month, the money's already gone. The rich solve this by setting up systems where investing happens automatically before they even touch the cash. One of my clients earns about $15,000 a month. Instead of waiting to decide what to save, he set up automatic transfers. $3,000 goes straight into index funds and another $1,500 into alternative investments the day his paycheck hits. After just 3 years, that system funneled $162,000 into his portfolio, and now that money is compounding without him lifting a finger. That's the real advantage of automation. It removes emotions and excuses. You don't need to remember to invest, and you don't get tempted to overspend. The transfers happen like clockwork, the same way rent or a utility bill gets paid. Here's what I tell clients. Treat your investments like non-negotiable expenses. Whether it's $200 or $2,000 per month, lock in an automatic transfer to your brokerage account, index funds, or retirement plan. Once it's set, you'll barely notice the difference in your day-to-day spending, but over years, you'll build serious wealth. Bottom line, automation is how the wealthy stay consistent without relying on motivation. If you remove willpower from the equation, wealth building becomes effortless. 3. Build multiple income streams. Here's something most people don't realize. The average millionaire doesn't rely on a single paycheck. In fact, studies show they have 7 different income streams working for them. This diversification is exactly what protects their wealth and keeps it growing. Let me give you a real client example. She started with a $6,000 per month salary from her full-time job. That was her foundation. From there, she added rental income, about $800 per month from a small property. Next came dividends, roughly $400 monthly from a stock portfolio. Then she launched a consulting side business that added another $2,200 per month. Finally, she built a small affiliate marketing website which brought in $600 monthly. Do the math, and suddenly her total monthly income jumped from $6,000 to over $10,000 per month. That's a massive difference, and it came from stacking streams over time, not all at once. Here's the real benefit. When one stream slows down, say the consulting business has a slow month, the others keep the cash flowing. This creates stability, reduces risk, and accelerates long-term wealth building. So, how do you start? Begin with your primary income, and every 6 to 12 months, add one new stream. It might be dividends, a digital product, a side business, or real estate. Over time, these streams stack together into a safety net that makes you financially unshakable. Wealthy people never rely on just one source. They build layers of income that compound into financial freedom. 4. Go beyond stocks, 50% in alternatives. Most people believe wealth is built only through stocks and bonds. But the top 1% think differently. They diversify far beyond the traditional markets, often allocating 50% or more of their portfolios into alternatives, things like real estate, private equity, and direct business investments. Here's a client example. With a portfolio of about $500,000, instead of putting it all into index funds, he split it in half. Roughly $250,000 went into alternative assets. Just his real estate holdings now generate about $18,000 per year in rental income, income that arrives whether the stock market is up or down. On top of that, the property itself has appreciated in value, multiplying his wealth even further. Why do the wealthy love alternatives? First, they provide steady cash flow rent checks, business distributions, or profit shares. Second, they're a powerful hedge against inflation. While the value of money erodes, tangible assets like real estate often rise. And third, alternatives give them access to higher returns and unique opportunities that traditional investors miss. Now, you don't need millions to get started. Today, you can invest in alternatives with just a few $100s through REITs, crowdfunded real estate platforms, or fractional business investments. As your wealth grows, you can scale into larger, more private opportunities. The bottom line, wealthy people don't put all their eggs in the stock market basket. They build diverse portfolios where alternatives play a major role in both growth and protection. If you want to think like the 1%, it's time to start adding alternatives into your mix. 5. Use debt as a tool, not a trap. Most people fear debt, but the wealthy know how to use it strategically. They treat debt like a lever, using it to buy assets that produce more than the debt costs. For example, imagine taking out a loan at 3% interest to buy a property that earns you 8% returns. That's a 5% profit margin using borrowed money. Here's a real client example. He borrowed $200,000 at 4% interest to purchase rental properties. His tenants now generate about $24,000 in annual cash flow. After covering loan payments and interest, he still nets around $4,000 in pure profit every year, all from leveraging other people's money. The key difference? The wealthy only use debt to acquire appreciating assets or cash-flowing investments. They never use it for lifestyle spending, no luxury cars or fancy vacations on credit. That's the trap most people fall into. So, if you want to think like the 1%, ask yourself this before taking on any debt. Will this purchase grow in value or generate income? If the answer is no, don't borrow. If the answer is yes and the math works, then smart leverage can accelerate your wealth dramatically. 6. Supercharge your emergency fund. The rich don't just stash emergency savings in a checking account earning pennies. They keep 6 to 12 months of expenses set aside, but they make sure that money is also working for them. One client, for example, has about $60,000 in an emergency reserve. Instead of letting it sit idle, he placed it into a mix of high-yield savings, money market funds, and short-term treasury bills. Those simple shifts now generate about $2,400 a year in interest, and the money is still accessible within days if needed. This approach has two big advantages. First, your safety net keeps pace with inflation instead of shrinking in value. Second, it creates peace of mind. You're prepared for unexpected expenses while your cash continues to grow. Too many people leave tens of thousands sitting in low-interest accounts out of habit. But wealthy people know that every dollar should have a job, even the ones meant for emergencies. So ask yourself, is your safety net just sitting still, or is it quietly compounding in the background? 7. The buy, borrow, die tax strategy. This last one is the ultimate wealth hack, and almost nobody outside the 1% talks about it. It's called buy, borrow, die. Here's how it works. Step 1. The wealthy buy appreciating assets like stocks or real estate. Step 2. Instead of selling those assets and paying huge capital gains taxes, they borrow against them at very low interest rates. That borrowed money is then used to fund their lifestyle or buy even more assets. Step 3. When they pass away, their heirs inherit the assets with a stepped-up cost basis, meaning all those unrealized gains are wiped clean for tax purposes. Here's a client example. With a $2 million stock portfolio, instead of selling shares and triggering a $20,000 tax bill, He simply borrowed $100,000 at 3% interest. That way, his investments kept compounding and he avoided unnecessary taxes. It's not about avoiding taxes illegally, it's about using the rules strategically. This single strategy allows the wealthy to live off their assets tax efficiently and pass wealth down to the next generation virtually tax free. Here's how you can put this into practice step by step. Months 1 to 3, automate at least 20% of your income into investments before you even see it. For someone making $15,000 per month, that's $3,000 automatically invested. Months 4 to 6, build your emergency fund to cover 6 months of expenses. That might look like $18,000 in a high-yield savings or short-term treasuries, earning while it sits. Months 7 to 12, add a second income stream, maybe dividends, consulting, or digital products. At this stage, you're targeting an extra $1,200 per month. Year 2 and beyond, scale to 4 to 7 income streams and start optimizing for taxes. At this point, you could be bringing in $8,000 to $15,000 per month, much of it passive. I've had clients double their net worth in just 3 years with this framework, and several now earn $10,000 a month in passive income while paying less in taxes than ever before. So here's the question: which of these strategies will you start with this week? Drop your answer in the comments. I reply to every single one. If you want my full Wealth Builders blueprint with exact percentages, automation templates, and tax saving hacks, make sure you hit subscribe and turn on the bell. In the next video, I'll show you how to build your first $100,000 using these exact strategies. Here's the truth. The biggest difference between the 1% and everyone else isn't just how much they earn, it's how they manage what they already have. Start managing your money like the wealthy today, and future you will thank you.